Hello, and we are back. We have one new guest. Do you want to introduce yourself?
What up, guys? It's David. I haven't talked in a while because I don't normally come to school on the weekends because I'm sad.
Right, and once again, this is Jaden Sofa with Deep Questions. We were talking about, is water wet? What do you have to bring to that, David?
Well, I like to make a very good point here, especially in the matter of science. You see, water, and when it comes to being wet, it is the saturation of other water molecules. Therefore, water in itself is wet. Because whenever water exists, there are normally hydrogen bonds connecting to other water molecules. Therefore, it's always surrounded by another water molecule. Therefore, when water is around other water molecules, it is in fact wet. But a single molecule is not wet.
Like I said before, surface tension. That he just said that on the atomic level.
He said it, but smart.
Well, while during the break, I actually thought of something that we hadn't mentioned before, and that's the fact that whenever something reaches 0 degrees Kelvin, none of the particles are actually moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, therefore, is it even water anymore? Or is it just a matter, just something that's there? Can it be wet at that point?
Well, the definition for wet is just the saturation of all the other identical molecules. Therefore, as far as 0 degrees Kelvin goes, that is simply the idea that eventually it gets so cold that the vibrations of molecules cease.
Yeah.
That's still
Therefore-
theoretical, right?
Of course, there's actually a theory.
It hasn't. Yeah.
It doesn't stop it being what it is, though.
What my real question, I think the real question with that, Cody, is does it matter? I'll see myself out. Have fun.
There's still the still hydrogens, oxygens are still there. They're no longer moving and vibrating, but they're still there. Therefore, I do believe at 0 degrees Kelvin, if ever could be accomplished, it's still wet.
All right, David,
Okay.
you weren't here for this, so something we talked about earlier was whether water has to be in its liquid form for something to be wet. Like if you're frozen in ice or covered in snow, are you wet?
What do you think?
'Cause you're still covered in the water molecules.
Choose wisely.
Well, seeing that the definition is covered in the molecules, I think technically yes, you are. Though,
Is it covered in water molecules or just liquid?
well, if anything can be covered by liquid, you could broaden the definition to anything covered by a liquid
Oh, but we discussed that, too.
is wet.
You missed a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
You missed out on the whole thing.
And
It was
unfortunately, I did not record it, so it's gone forever.
Nicely done. It's embedded in our psyche. It's part of our souls now. It's part of our experience in this life.
Well, when it just comes to snow, at least, I don't think you really. If you go down to the broad of the atomic scale again,
Mm-hmm.
see, the problem with snow, what happens is as the ice or as snow begins to appear and ice molecules begin to form, H2O will actually begin to space itself out, and what actually causes the ice is air will actually get trapped within itself. Other air molecules get trapped within pockets, and that's what creates the freezing cold. Therefore, they no longer really become saturated with themselves anymore. They really get separated from each other. Though if a block of ice dropped inside a cup of water, it would in fact still be wet, because now it's covered once again by water molecules.
It's an interesting point to make.
All right.
Because it does indeed space itself out and become less dense.
Less wet.
One could make the argument.
Well, wait. So are you still wet or just... Are you no longer wet or just less wet?
Well, it's dry. Once it starts to melt, you'll be wet.
That's true.
And you'll be able to perceive it.
As one who does not want to lose his license to be on the air,
What's so funny?
I would recommend we leave the topic of being wet or not.
Yes.
No. Any other thoughts on the water being wet?
I think we should move on to the next topic.
the next topic.
I concur. Master Kenobi should go.
All right, so real quick, we're going to talk about, this goes off of the is water wet. Whenever you take a shower, right, you should clean yourself if you're showering properly, right?
I should hope.
So when you use a towel, is the used towel actually clean?
Well, you see, there's a very strict point to make.
No.
At least in the male world. See, what happens is you wash the towel, you wash it, you dry yourself off, and then the towel magically becomes clean the next day and forgets all of what just happened. Therefore, it can be used infinitely.
The towel forgets.
The towel does, in fact, forget. That is my scientific opinion.
That's true. So do you guys, do you guys use a towel once and then have to wash it, or do you reuse it a couple times, or
Once.
forever?
As a broke college kid, I would like to say I use my towels infinitely. They dry.
Do you
Once.
ever wash your towels?
That's pretty gross.
I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, I use them a couple times. I'm not
Yeah,
just gonna,
I'm more of a, like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Just once for me.
See, the goal to know when you need to wash them is when it starts smelling bad. That's when you know you probably need to wash it.
Well, see, I think that's
I thought
the
you said you
hint
didn't wash
of whenever it starts to get dirty, right? Like if you crumple it up, it's going to get dirty. It's just going to grow mold or something, right?
Right.
So it's clean until then.
Because the water in it attracts the mold, or is the towel wet?
Yes, the towel's wet. It's
If
soaked with water.
After a shower, the towel would indeed become wet. It now be saturated with water molecules.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not anymore,
I mean, then
thanks to the towel. So yes, they have to go somewhere, and you can feel it. It's a no-brainer.
You see, what happens is the water, once it dries and becomes vapor and
Indeed.
leaves the system of the towel, it takes along the dirt and grime with it.
That's not how evaporation works.
And
Have you ever seen how they make salt in like the Mediterranean? They evaporate the water away, and it leaves the salt and all of the matter that was in the seawater.
Have you ever, like, actually evaporated anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a biologist, I can't say I have. That's really not my degree field. That's yours.
All right.
Being
all
the
right,
chemist.
Fair enough.
It's not even. Never mind. Let's drop that.
Hey, Mr. Lawyer.
Don't shoo me.
You ever boiled anything?
Yeah, have you ever boiled? I mean, come on. I'm not just a lawyer. I'm
You're
a
asking
cook.
the Irishman if he's ever boiled anything? Would you like to see how many recipes for
You
potatoes?
see, when you boil
They're all boiled.
water, the food that's inside the water actually floats up along with the evaporating bubbles,
Mm-hmm.
and it just disappears, you know?
No.
I don't think that's how that works.
Come on, chemistry man, back me up.
I'm backing you up here.
Okay, good.
Anything?
Yeah.
Joel, did you have anything?
Hello. It's me. The one, the only Joel, except for the other one that's also here at Lander University.
Hi, Joel.
Hello, Isaiah. I hope you're well. My thoughts on whether or not towels are clean after you use them to dry yourself is that they are in fact not. And my reasoning is because I see the drying as the final step in the cleaning process, right? Because you wash, you rinse, you repeat. But before you repeat, you get out of the shower and then you dry yourself off with a towel. Now, the reason you dry yourself off is because you still have that water residue and that soapy residue that's still on you. And you probably have the last little bits of dirt that's still on. And by drying them, viciously scrubbing them off with the towel until you are dry, those last little bits of dirt and yuckiness that are in the water are going to get off of you because you did dry. It's not an added bonus to just speed up the process of drying. It is part of the important process. Now, this begs a very important question. After you use the soap, is the soap still clean?
Ah. So, like if you drop soap on the floor, is the soap dirty or the floor clean?
Now, that's an interesting question. I would like to rewind a bit, put a pin in that, and we shall come back to it. But
Only got a few minutes, so
with his point that he made about the towel being dirty, we also have to remember that your skin is covered in microorganisms. We can't get around that.
right.
And dead skin cells and stuff. And whenever you wash that off, what you get is a lot of that stuff knocked off, but you're never going to get rid of all of it. And then whenever you dry yourself off with the towel, some of that is going to get onto the towel. So you have a lot of flora and fauna, microflora and fauna, growing on the towel now. And there comes a point whenever that comes to an obscenely unhealthy level. I rest my case.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to look back at what Joel said because I hadn't really thought of it that way. That's like another step to the cleaning process. I always just considered it something you did afterward. But now that I'm looking at it that way, I could see where it would be dirty after you use it.
All right.
And back to
So-
the soap thing. Saying, is soap clean or is it dirty after you drop it? As long as you rinse it, I should say. Because whenever soap is a phospholipid, which means that it has a hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tail. Meaning that one bit of the molecule, half of it likes water and half of it does not. And the bit that likes water attaches to the water whenever you rinse it, but the part that does not like water attaches to the grime and the dirt and the filth and stuff that it picks up on its way as it's cleaning. So, as you rinse off, that's why soap works the way it does.
But does it pick up the dirt, or does
It picks up the
It
dirt.
would have to, but does it still stay on the soap?
No,
Well,
because the
you can, like,
hydrophilic
wash
head
it off
attaches
the
to the
soap,
water
right?
But if
and
you don't
washes
wash it
away.
off-
Not to burst
Then
your
you're
bubble,
disgusting.
but when you're talking about the phospholipids and all this,
Yes.
is those are more designed to pick up fat molecules. In reality, most soaps nowadays, just ones used for normal body washing, aren't designed in such a way. They're actually, that's a subcomponent of the major soap. In fact, there's other soap within the soap that's designed to actually wash the body and quote unquote disinfect it after use.
Well, yes, you've got antibacterials and stuff. We can open that can of worms later. But,
Well, not really. We've only got another minute, but
right.
So I'd like to finish
that's
my
for
case
another
by
date.
saying that
closing arguments.
if the soap were to fall onto the floor, the soap in that single instance would in fact be dirty. But the floor itself would not be any cleaner because there'd be nothing to actually wash away the soap and the other grime on the floor. But until you wash the soap off with water, the piece of soap that you dropped is still in fact dirty.
Yes, I concur.
Yep.
And the phospholipid will it doesn't just bind with other fats; it also binds with anything that is non-polar, anything that would not otherwise dilute in water because of its non-polarity of the molecule. All right, I'm done. I'm
All
going
right.
to stop. I'm going to stop using big words.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Tune in Fridays at 5 for Deep Questions. We'll be back next week.
I'll be back.